Killjoy is one of those movies where I can't quite tell if its existence is a total killjoy, or is it one of those movies that is just hilarious to watch because the entire way through you have absolutely no idea what you're witnessing. And you know what? I don't think I can answer that one for you. But what I can tell you is by far the most terrifying thing about this movie is its aspect ratio. The movie begins with two high schoolers sticking true to the trope of looking way too old to be high schoolers, as we see the girls, Jada and Monique, be approached by one of their classmates, Michael. Jada clearly doesn't dislike Michael, but she tells him that if her boyfriend Lorenzo catches him talking to her, then he'll kill him. Undeterred by the threat of imminent death, Michael proceeds to ask Jada to the homecoming dance, which itself is immediately preceded by Lorenzo and his buddies turning up, ready to enact the threat of imminent death. There's Lorenzo, the leader and liker of underage girls apparently, and his two friends, Baby Boy and T-Bone. Lorenzo has T-Bone beat Michael up, because obviously that's the rational thing to do after spotting a high schooler within the same vicinity of your high schooler girlfriend, and they all drive off together, leaving Michael on the floor as he's stared at by this homeless guy, as this is the best entertainment he's had all day. Michael, bruised and butthurt, decides to head home and do what any sensible young man would do after finding themselves in this situation, and performs a demonic ritual with a clown to ensure nothing can stop him being with Jada. But as he's trying to recreate the plot of Toy Story with his doll, he suddenly hears someone shouting to him from outside of the window. They're shouting that he needs to check out this video's sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. Got ya. You've got a phone, right? Then make sure you don't miss out on this opportunity by jumping into Raid Shadow Legends. Raid's just released a legendary champion based off MMA and pro wrestling legend Ronda Rousey, as well as taking on dragons and ice golems with her bare fists. Ronda's backstory takes some inspiration from her background in combat sports. Born into a minor Bannerlord house, Ronda trained hard alongside her 7 brothers to become a formidable warrior. During one tournament run by her father, Ronda's true potential as a fighter became obvious as she took on 4 knights barehanded. You can get Ronda for free right now, whether you're new or a long-time player. All you've got to do is log in and play Raid for 7 days between now and February the 20th. This month, Raid's got a new update with a ton of new features, including a brand new dungeon and introduction of Artifact Ascension. Battle through the Sand Devil's Necropolis and earn precious oil needed to take your artifacts to the next level. There are a bunch of new champions being added to the mix, including some really cool holiday champions for those looking to get in the festive spirit. And the Bastion's even been decorated in-game to look all wintry. To celebrate Ronda's arrival in Raid, you can also use the promo code RAIDRONDA to get a bunch of helpful stuff to level your Ronda up so she's at the top of her game. So just enter the promo code RAIDRONDA and all the goodies can be yours. If you're an Amazon Prime member, you can get your exclusive rewards in Raid right now. New players, use my link or scan the QR code right here to get a free starter pack worth almost $30, a free champion Virgies, and this in-game loot. You can find your rewards here in your inbox for the next 30 days only. Baby Boy is shouting to Michael from outside of the window, and it appears that he's come to apologise. Keyword being appears, because apparently Michael isn't the sharpest tool in the shed, or should I say demonic ritualist in the house, and he walks outside to find himself immediately ambushed and kidnapped. He's thrown into Lorenzo's car and driven out into a wooded area out of sight of everyone. They force him down to the floor, and Michael begins crying and begging for his life, but Lorenzo, seeming unfazed and slightly threatened by the thought of a 15-year-old kid talking to his also 15-year-old girlfriend, aims a gun at the back of his head and pulls the trigger. Nothing happened, as the gun was empty and he was just trying to scare him, but after getting him up and laughing about it not even being loaded, he pulls the trigger again to find out that it was indeed loaded, and that he's just shot Michael. But for real this time. Michael, not being well suited for the whole having an extra breathing hole situation he's just found himself in, falls to the ground and dies. As we then see 1 year passes, and that nobody's really all that bothered by the fact that Lorenzo made a literal window into Michael's soul, as Jade has moved on from Lorenzo, as a psychotic murderous boyfriend doesn't really pass the vibe check, as we see her studying at her friend Jamal's house, and by friend I mean professional tummy tickler from the inside, and by study I mean studying each other's physical anatomy. Kids these days not taking their education seriously. And we also see that T-Bone and Baby Boy are still walking free after being involved with the death of Michael. And after hearing the music from a nearby ice cream truck, they do anything any other self-respecting stoned adult would do, and head straight towards it. They arrive to find it manned by a clown, which apparently doesn't cause them to immediately turn around and walk the other way, because clearly they aren't avid watchers of a little-known YouTube channel called Big Will, where a slightly larger than average man would have told them that clowns equals a bad time. Just ask the guys under John Wayne Gacy's floorboards. He tells the pair that he's actually a secret undercover drug dealer dressed up as a clown, hiding under the guise of selling ice cream, which sounds entirely plausible to me. He hands them one of those illegal cigarettes that, according to some people, chemically induces homosexuality, before inviting them into the back of his truck, which teleports them to his domain, Ohio. The clown appears in front of them and busts out those moves sexual style, before teleporting away and leaving them with blue balls. So they split up to look for him, when suddenly he drops from the ceiling in front of T-Bone, while simultaneously grabbing Baby Boy around the throat. I knew they never should have smoked that shit. After running away, due to Baby Boy not exactly being a fan of forced asphyxiation, the clown decides to asphyxiate his entire body against a wall with a car. We then see T-Bone coming across a random lit blunt, and deciding that the best possible thing he can do right now is to smoke the funny clown drugs in the even funnier clown domain. Well, when in Rome, the clown appears in front of him, before T-Bone begins wincing in pain, as it would seem that his thoughtless actions would have these little things known as consequences, as he falls to the floor and disappears in some Marvel tier CGI fire, leaving me to believe that that was the best scene in a movie that I think I've ever seen. It then cuts to Lorenzo, getting a little too intimate with the insides of this woman, before she asks him where he sees himself 5 years from now, and he gets all butthurt because he can't count that high. She goes for a shower to clean up all of those little Lorenzos all over her, while he sits down on the couch to relax. He hears the floorboards creak, so grabs his gun and proceeds to check outside of the apartment, because I guess walking around in an apartment complex is grounds for getting shot. And after he sees these shoe prints, he must think that he's hot on the trail of Bigfoot, as he follows them outside, because apparently he can't just mind his own business and allow someone else to walk around in a building that they might also live in. He then comes across an ice cream truck parked outside, and proceeds to engage in the perfectly reasonable activity of breaking into it. And after he opens the door, he's grabbed and pulled into the clown domain, all the while we repeatedly see shots of the woman in the shower, because cleanliness is important. The clown shows himself to Lorenzo, before suddenly Baby Boy and T-Bone both appear as they're beaten up and burnt. After they both magically disappear, Lorenzo proceeds to repeatedly shoot the weird freaky clown thing, which apparently tickles, as all he does is laugh as each shot hits. And this is the second time within the last 5 minutes where we've seen Lorenzo shoot a tickly load. The clown then charges up and spits out all of the bullets, as I stand corrected from my previous statement, as they each impact with these Microsoft Paint tier bullet wound effects, as this is the best scene in a movie that I've ever seen. Lorenzo's girlfriend then exits the shower, and after finding some kind of strange liquid on the floor, she leaves the apartment to find more liquid. Lorenzo's internal liquid, and not the good kind. She finds the ice cream truck outside, and because apparently all of the people around here just love ice cream, she opens it up and finds Lorenzo sitting in there with an upgrade from his Microsoft Paint brushstroke effect. And after the clown pops up to terrify her, it cuts to someone sneaking into Monique's room and grabs her by the mouth before she can scream. We then see Jada's pager go off as she's lying in bed with Jamal, instantly dating this movie, with Monique saying "call 911", as apparently it's easier to page someone than to actually do it yourself. Which results in Jada immediately not calling 911, but instead calling Monique, resulting in her saying that she's coming over now, due to her being hysterical down the phone. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure someone should maybe call 911. Jada and Jamal head over there and open the front door to find the homeless man who had such a great time witnessing Michael's beatdown from a year ago. He's holding hands with Monique as they both have their eyes closed in some kind of trance, leading me to believe that this is a weird homeless man fetish thing. He tells them all to hold hands and close their eyes, which of course they do, because why not? He proceeds to make this funny face, and then shows them that after being beaten up for the egregious sin of talking to a female, Michael went home and performed a black magic ritual with his doll named Killjoy, but that Michael's life was ended before the magical ritual could be completed and the evil power was unleashed into the world. So he tells them that they're now all in danger, even Jamal for some reason, pretty sure he could just walk away from this whole thing and be fine, and tells them that in order to defeat him, they must destroy his heart and destroy the doll. Which is great and all, but how exactly does this random guy know this? Bestow upon us your mystical knowledge, almighty random homeless guy. And then he magically disappears in front of them, because of course he does. They then find the ice cream truck outside, as apparently it's doing its midnight rounds, and after climbing in, are teleported away just like the others before them. Jamal goes from 1 second saying we all need to stick together, to immediately saying we all need to split up.
What?
Because I guess he's got some kind of Scooby-Doo fantasy that he'd like to indulge. And despite the girls not wanting to, Jamal goes one way, while they head another way. It's not like they could split up into threes anyway. There's quite literally only 2 doors there. Jamal finds Killjoy and attempts to give him the old 1-2, before Killjoy attempts to spruce up the room by creating a human-sized lampshade and throwing him across it. A different version of Killjoy then jumps out in front of the girls, and seeing as everyone's now doing a bit of jumping, they jump over and below him to get away. After their plan didn't go so well, Jamal realizes that his Scooby-Doo fantasy isn't everything he thought it would be, just as Lorenzo and his buddies show up, which results in Jamal punching Lorenzo in the face, which I'm pretty sure is classified as desecration of a corpse. Jamal then finds a sword, because no creepy clown domain would be complete without random swords scattered around the place, before he thrusts it through Lorenzo's body, causing him to die. Again. And it would seem that random weapons of the sharp variety are actually quite a common occurrence here, as Jada chops off T-Bone's head with a battle axe that she just found on the floor. Running out of comically large kitchen utensils, Jamal wastes no time by squeezing his thumbs into Baby Boy's eyes, except not really, as it just looks like he's giving him a rather aggressive forehead massage. Wanting in on some of that massage action, Killjoy appears wielding a knife, and it's almost immediately knocked to the floor as both Jamal and Monique rush him, so in retaliation for making him drop his favourite piece of cutlery, he throws them across the room with about as much ease as an angry stepfather throws a toddler across the room after a 6-pack of Budweiser. After he's done putting the kids to bed, he sets his eyes onto Jada and asks her for a kiss. She agrees, but on one condition. He must promise to never return to their world. And with Killjoy obviously being the trustworthy guy that he is, he agrees. He then goes in for the kiss, which he appears to be enjoying a little bit too much, before we see him turn into Michael. He tells her that it's just him and her now, and while going in for a hug, she stabs him with the knife and he dies. Again, all 3 of them get up to leave the warehouse, but suddenly Killjoy, Lorenzo, T-Bone and Baby Boy appear behind them, and they have this totally believable, definitely human and not robot reaction to finding out that the demon clown and his gang of zombies are back.
Oh no! I thought we killed them!
The tension is killing me. Jada suddenly hears a voice coming from the heavens, telling her that she needs to kill the doll.
Jada, don't forget about the doll. You have to kill the doll.
God? Is that you? No, it's just a mentally unwell homeless man again. The trio then sprint to the ice cream truck to unlock fast travel, and are somehow magically transported to Michael's room for some reason, a room that still has the doll and the candles in, because I guess no one bothered to clean it up a year after his death. Jada picks up the conveniently placed knife, but sees Michael in place of the doll, as he tells her that he loves her and that he did all of this for her. But she stabs him anyway because that's simp behaviour. The building begins to shake as we see Lorenzo and his buddies recreate the dance from Thriller for entirely too long. To the point where it's actually kind of hilarious, to be honest. And now that I think of it, this movie is an absolute goldmine for funny clips. Before they then eventually disappear, because whoever was in charge of the edit for this movie really loved that effect. The 3 then hold each other's hands for a quick kumbaya sing-along, and close their eyes again as we see Michael in Killjoy's domain being told that he failed before Michael's killed again. And after a hard day's work of killing clowns and keeping simps at bay, they treat themselves to a well-deserved, refreshing break at the club where they're approached by one of Jada's classmates, but after she looks away and looks back, she sees Killjoy sitting there with Lorenzo. But suddenly she wakes up screaming, as luckily for her it was just a nightmare, but unluckily for her she's about to predict a scene from the original Grudge 2 full years before it even existed, and looks under the covers to see Killjoy there, when Jamal is supposed to be down there giving her a spit shine instead. Before we finish up, I'd just like to give a massive shout out to all patrons and YouTube members, people who help every month to keep this type of content coming out, because we all know how finicky YouTube can be with monetization, and a sponsored video isn't always guaranteed. And a nice perk for joining up as a patron or a YouTube member is getting access to the private Discord server where you can see uncensored versions of all new videos. So starting off with the YouTube members, a big thank you to Laurie Resendez, Cal Ballinger, Billy Bad Cables, Gary Braunbeck, Psycho, Cobe Redbeam, Exgurdicus, Mike Violik, Kyans Gaming, Goobs AU, Julie Not 666, Art Mendez, David Gailanas, Salty Seal, Voltier, Brian Walker, The House of Shaitan Gaming and Shorts, David Winter, Donovan Farrell, and Mr. Devneals. And heading over to Patreon, a massive thank you to Dom, Hunters263, Rebecca Pitts, Benz, A Dandy in Space, Martin Brannan, Natasha Twyman, Jared CBs, Pascal Mathis, Richard McGowan III, Macy J, Chris, Dennis, Jerry McSendy, Ashley L. Wintz, Christopher Butsky, Joshua Torres, Remy, Fire Goes Fast, Josh Brooks, Dyreem, Robert Zerweck, Dark Shiva, Josh Hannon, Billy Whitaker, Jay Slows, Daniel Dickinson, G-Source, Fatty Ghost, Miguel, Owen, Mackenzie Riley, Bryson, John Smith, Madrick, Andrew Miranda, Stephen Weber, Channing Mars, Arnav Singh, Michael Attikpur, Benjamin Bronson, Paul Bartlett, Reese Heinrich, Toasted Hot 1, Nazdan, Todd, Benedict Garam, FX666, AJ Castro, Robbie Walk, Nate Law, Alex FRW, Scorpexi, Ethan Holmes, DeAndre Fernandez, Cal Ballinger, Mitch Brandman, Sam Rasmussen, Averages2, Nobody, Augustina, Cedric Spear, Salome Rios, Matthias Jensen, Sergey Maslavoski, Fentom, Edgy Boy K, John Adano, Clodar, Fake Tom Jones, Kevin Basement, and Giovanni Montejano. So once again, a massive thank you to all YouTube members and patrons, and a huge thank you to everyone else for watching.